opinions expressed by callers, guests, and hosts do not necessarily reflect those of the Black Talk Radio Network and Black Talk Media Project. Black Talk Radio is new black media for the new millennium.
Dinar would have had serious consequences for the world financial system, but may also have empowered the people of Africa, something black activists say the US wants to avoid at all costs.
We're slicing cake. We're slicing cake. We're slicing cake.
Say the US wants to avoid at all costs.
We're slicing cake.
Say the US wants to avoid at all costs.
We're slicing.
Gaddafi didn't give up. In the months leading up to the military intervention, he called on African and Muslim nations to join together to create this new currency that would rival the dollar and euro. They would sell oil and other resources around the world only for gold dinars. It's an idea that would shift the economic balance of the world. Countries' wealth would depend on how much gold they have, not how many dollars they trade. And Libya has 144 tons of gold.
Welcome everyone to Thando Radio Show, brought to you by Black Talk Radio Network. I'm your host, Dave from LA, coming to you live from FEMA Region number 6. Today is July the 31st, 2017, the end of July. Wow, just going by real quickly. It is a Monday, and just want to thank you all for listening to Thando Radio Show and making us a part of your everyday commute home or whatever it is that you're doing at this time. We greatly appreciate you all. And at any time during the show, if you'd like to get in on the conversation, give us a call, 866-510-9025, 866-510-9025. So let's jump into today's show and talk about some of the things that we have in store for you. Today is a live show, and definitely looking forward to it all. And the reason why we're able to have live shows is because of the donations and contributions of you, some of the listeners, that we actually are going to need that to continue in order for this to have this time together on BTR or Black Talk Radio Network. And that's because of the support that you give, and we are asking for you all to continue to give. And those that haven't given, please to give to Black Talk Radio Network. You could go to the website for www.Black Talk Radio Network, and there on the homepage you'll see the donation prompt that is there. If you would hit that and give whatever it is that you can. All donations are greatly appreciated, great and small. Okay. Also, there at the website, you can hit the capital B with the black background that's there, and that's for the BTR community. That's the social media outlet that Black Talk Radio Network has put together for you to engage in a more holistic social media opportunities. $24 a year. That means $24 for 1 year subscription, and you could do that by just clicking that and leading into it. And this way, your information, you know that your information won't be sold to any bidder. You don't have to worry about you being adversely affected and data mined, the way that, the mainstream media ones are on FedBook and everything else. So come on over to BTR Community. Is a more holistic way, is a platform that's created for your engagement and for you in mind. So greatly appreciate you all that are there. This is the only place that I share. I don't do anything on FedBook at all. In thinking about closing out that account, don't need that at all. Never wanted it. Never wanted to be engaged in it. So definitely be a part of that. Also, before we get going, just as a couple of administrative things, everyone, if you would, also, Scotty and Max are going to be making a trip, and they're going to, we wish you all would support that trip. They need to raise about $1,400 for the trip that they're going to be going to Washington, D.C. Or I think they're getting ready to go. So Scotty, if you're there, bro, would you just explain what you and Max are going to be doing,
Yes.
and when this is, and how is it that we all can help? Because I will definitely do some things, some help myself, because it's Scotty and Max. That's the Abolitionist Radio Show, and and Scotty. Come on, that is so important. So, Scotty,
Yes.
if you would just talk about what is going on in Washington, and how is it that we can help?
Okay, on August the 19th, which is just about 19 days away,
Wow.
there will be the first that I know of abolitionist rally since the passage of the 13th Amendment, which anybody who listens to New Abolitionist Radio or read the 13th Amendment and have good English comprehension skills, then you know they've been lying for over 150 years about abolishing slavery. You can't abolish something and then make an exception for it. And the 13th Amendment has an exception clause in it for slavery and involuntary servitude. They just had to do it through the criminal courts by convicting you. And so there will be this rally. It's going to be a bunch of speakers. It's like a 5-hour event. Max is one of the scheduled speakers. I've been asked to moderate, help set up the stage, and at this point, they don't have a PA system. So we're trying to raise funds to get Max, his abolitionist wife, Tribal Rain, who's a spoken word artist. She'll be performing. There is Greg Jacoy, who is also a longtime supporter of Black Talk Radio Network and Black Talk Media Project, and he's going to make the trip from South Carolina with us. So we need a passenger van. We need a PA system. If we can't find one to rent, we may have to purchase one. Of course, we need hotel rooms and money for water and gas for the trip up there. So roughly around $1,400. If I find out we don't need that much, then I'll let everybody know we don't need that much. So there is a campaign. I didn't launch it on anybody else's platform like GoFundMe or anything. It's launched on Black Talk Radio Network. So on our platform, blacktalkradionetwork.com, you will see a graphic of myself and Max with the abolitionists, with Capitol Hill in the background. The purpose of this is really just to promote to the world. They're expecting about 2,000 people, but to promote to the world that slavery was never abolished in the United States of America Incorporated, has been lying about it for 150 years, and that we are demanding an end to legalized slavery and human trafficking. And so that's basically what it is. Now, I know how some people feel about marches and stuff like that, and you're entitled to your feelings, okay?
Right.
But we figured this is the best way to broadcast this message to the world, okay? And when they see that many people coming together of all different backgrounds on a common issue or important issue like ending slavery, then perhaps they'll be persuaded to no longer believe in the lies of the state and become abolitionists and help free people from slavery. So that's the New Abolitionist Radio. We're asking people to donate whatever they can to help fund our Carolina abolitionist contingent trip to D.C. Thanks, Dave.
No problem. And there it is right there on the homepage for Black Talk Radio Network. You'll see a picture of my man Max, and you will see Scotty there, and it says New Abolitionist Radio, donate to help fund Carolina's abolitionist contingent trip to D.C. So we definitely have to do that. I will definitely be looking forward to it. And I don't know, I'm going to see what we have. Let me try to. I didn't want. That's why I didn't want to say something. But we're definitely going to be donating. And everyone, please give what you can to this, so that Max and Scotty can get, and everyone else that's going to D.C. Because no, slavery has never been abolished. it's a profitable industry, and profitable industries never go out of business. They just revolutionize themselves and just come in a different form and fashion, but it's still the same intention. So please, if you all would, give to this, and we're going to be featuring this. I'm going to actually be featuring this on Thando Radio Show as well, the New Abolitionist fundraising for Washington, D.C. rally. So definitely right there on that way. We should be doing this off of BTR, off Black Talk Radio Network, so that no one else, we don't have to pay any fees to anybody else or anything else. Go straight to what it's for, and I'm looking forward to it, Scotty, and I greatly appreciate it. Scotty is also going to have bring back Black Talk News, BTR News, and he has a special guest tomorrow, and want you all to be a part of that. Scotty, once again, I know, man, sorry about that, but I want you to, if you would, just tell everybody about tomorrow's show, who your special guest is, and I think it's really important. I will be tuning in, and actually, I'm definitely going to be listening, and probably will even call in, because this is a very, very important topic of how this is the one thing I hate about this system, is that it continues to show what it is all about, and we don't take the necessary steps to avoid these types of things. So this is absolutely, just criminal in nature. But I'm going to let Scotty tell you about his special guest. Scotty, if you can, would you tell us about tomorrow you're going to do BTR News, and you're going to have a special guest on. I'm definitely going to be listening in to that tomorrow.
Yeah, so I used to do, that was actually the first program on this network. So I used to do a live program, and I cut it back to just once a week. And then, I was getting a lot of work, and I just really couldn't commit to a live show because I just don't, I put a lot into my shows. I do a lot of research.
It's a lot.
And so I did lose a client in the Tuesday night time slot at 8 o'clock p.m. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to just fill that slot with BTR News and start back doing a weekly live broadcast of BTR News. So my first guest is the mother of a young man by the name of Dwayne Hickerson. Dwayne Hickerson was a naval, he was in the Navy, based in Mississippi. He was either training to be a meteorologist, or that was his job in the Navy. So he was on a dating site, and on his dating site, he listed straight heterosexual males seeking, a woman. So apparently this transsexual person who was not born a natural woman, but identifies as a woman, but had all the anatomical parts of a male, tricked this young man who was only 20 at the time. They talked for months online on this dating site, and this person never told him that I'm not a natural born woman. So this person comes to town, picks him up from the base. They go to a hotel, and, people say that's why you shouldn't have one-night stands, or we're talking about young people. Come on now. We talking about young people. So they went They went to the hotel to have... And
there was a relationship that they had established.
Yeah, they had been talking for a couple of months online, right? So they go to the hotel, have some type of sex, and then right after having this sex, this person tells the young man, only then do they divulge that they are trans. And in my opinion, he went into a state of temporary insanity. He literally lost his mind, and unfortunately, he killed this person. Okay, I want to make that clear. I do not advocate the killing of human beings, and people have tried to mischaracterize some of my posts that I'm advocating for the killing of trans. No, I'm not advocating for the killing of trans. I can just understand a young heterosexual male who in the heat of the moment is told that he just had sex with a transsexual, losing his mind temporarily. So they were going to kill him by way of the death penalty, but he played out and they gave him 40 years. So his mother saw the YouTube video I did on the case where I was saying, I understand both sides. Well, excuse me, not both sides, that I don't believe that we should kill individuals because we don't agree with how they're living their lives. As long as they're not harming another individual, then I'm not going to do them harm. But when you intentionally engage in deception of that level, that rises to the level of rape by deception. This young man was raped. And so his mother reached out to me and said his story hasn't been told fully, and she wants to come on the network and tell his story. And she will also be campaigning for laws to make it a crime for a transsexual person to trick somebody into sex, because I call it rape by deception, so that we can save lives on both sides. That if you don't divulge before you have intimate contact with a person, and you know that they are heterosexual, then you will face some sort of punishment. And I could see a need for that just by some of the reactions that negative reactions that have been directed towards me, and saying that one person said to me today, well, there's no law saying they got to tell you, so just because you think it's morally wrong. And I'm saying, okay, see, you part of the problem. You are the reason that some of these trans is getting killed out here. So that's going to be the show tomorrow, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, Black Talk Radio News, right here on the Black Talk Radio Network. Thanks, Dave.
And you know what, Scotty, man, real quick, Scotty, before you go, because I know you got to do something. This is rape by fraud. This is why I always say my whole thing in life is that I never try to, stop something. My freedom ends where someone else's begins. So does theirs. Where my overall sovereignty and self-determination begins, that's where theirs ends. And what this individual did was encroach on. And the thing about this whole thing is that this young man has gotten a 40-year sentence. That is completely immoral, completely wrong. It's against the overall spirit of the law. And that in itself should be pardoned. That in itself should, knowing we're not calling for the execution or the killing of anybody. But what the system did was it just destroyed this young man because it didn't have the laws of the current of what is actually going on in today's world. And so what has happened is this young man was actually been victimized by that because he did he's never had any form of criminal record before, probably in his life, never was probably in any kind of trouble. And then all of a sudden, at this point in time, doing a crime of passion, because that's what it really was. And it's the same thing as if a couple, a married couple, if they happen to catch their spouse or their spouse or their loved one in a intimate relationship and it just sprung on them, the anger can be so great that where this person would otherwise never do anything like that. This young man should not be incarcerated at all. This is rape by fraud. And this is so bad because you know what, it's so funny. All communities should be outraged that this young man got this sentence. It doesn't matter who you are, because see, the thing was, if you're trying to deceptively and you're trying to encroach on someone that way, that in itself is a crime. That is a crime against humanity. It's a moral crime. This individual, you know what I don't like about this whole thing? If the other community is always constantly speaking about they don't want people to harass them because of the choices and they want to live their life freely. Okay, so that means that since you got that freedom now that you want to invoke your overall free will on others, are you crazy? Are you out of your mind? No. This is ridiculous. This is completely ridiculous. And it's immoral. It's unjust, and I think that we all should be carrying this. And it doesn't matter. No, we are not advocating, because this is the thing here. And this is what the system, in my opinion, this is what the system wants. This is what the system wants, because you constantly always want you at each other's throat. Those individuals that choose to have their lifestyle a certain way should be given that opportunity without harm. But their choice to live that type of lifestyle should never adversely harm someone else who does not look for that type of This young man wasn't looking for that. He was looking for a woman. He wasn't looking for a transgender or anything else. He was looking for a woman. And this individual knew this. The system knew it. And what they saw was an opportunity. And in this opportunity, there were some judges and everybody else that was trying to make their overall points. And those individuals should be, the judge and I don't care, the prosecutor should be disbarred, in my opinion. Because this is such a gross crime, goes against the overall spirit of the law. That individual raped that young man by fraud, and is no different than any other form of rape. It still has the same emotional, traumatic experience. That is unreasonable, unnecessary, immoral, and violates an individual's right to sovereignty and self-determination. He wasn't looking for that. And this individual defrauded and stole that. And so because of that, the society wanted to make an example out of him. That's what they wanted to do. Well, guess what? That's not one in which we should all erase. I won't erase it. I won't. So tomorrow, Scotty will have it on BTR News. And I'm looking forward to that conversation and looking forward to an action plan. This young man should be pardoned. Absolutely. And if anyone outside of in any other community has a problem with that, that's because they feel that they should be able to invoke their free will on you at all expenses. They never, ever were about any form of people's respect. They only wanted people to respect them.
Dave.
Those individuals, yes.
I was just informed, and it just came to my remembrance because it's in court right now in Charlotte, where these two young men have been charged with a hate crime. They didn't kill the individual, but they caught the individual trying to seduce and have sex with a 15-year-old in a park in Charlotte. And these other two individuals came across them, and they knew what was going on, and they beat the person up. Now, they was calling the person, homophobic slurs and all of that. But in my opinion, who committed the greater crime? Who committed the greater crime? So again, I'm not advocating for violence against anyone, but that's a heinous crime against a minor.
Now, let me tell you how this goes. Scotty. Now, because let me tell you what the law says about that. And don't take me out of context in this. From a law enforcement standpoint, even if a person didn't have a weapon, didn't have a gun, but you knew that they had just engaged in a rape of, not even a child, but of an adult, and they were fleeing from that individual, this is called a fleeing felon, but especially in rape, they have the okay to shoot that individual, even if they're unarmed, because they can't allow them to escape. because the likelihood of them doing that is great, and they're going to be doing that again. See, the same precedence has already been. I don't know who this young man of defense was. This young man's offense was the military, which is a kangaroo court, which was serving the overall purpose of the prosecutor. This person never had a fair trial at all.
Yeah, Doug, you're talking about Mr.
Or guess what? Oh, wait, Scotty, let me ask you. But not only that, with the case that Scotty just said, even individuals, you don't even have to be a police officer. What it is that you can effect an arrest, even if you had to use deadly force to do it. But here's the key. You got to know that they were the rapists. You got to know that they were, and you got to have to be able to prove that you knew that they were and they actually were engaging in that. Else you out on a limbo. In this case, what Scotty just talked about, those individuals committed no crime at all.
But because they were calling a guy a faggot and stuff like that, now they being charged with, hate crime charges and stuff like that. I mean, it doesn't matter that they was in the heat of the moment, then caught this dude committing a crime against a minor, and they didn't kill him, they just beat him up. And so, but like in the case of Mr. Hickerson, I said, see, that's how the system works of slavery. The defense isn't always there to defend you, but to defend the system. And many of these public defenders and even attorneys, private attorneys, will work with the prosecution to coerce you into pleading guilty. And so Mr. Hickerson was facing a death penalty, and he said, "Well, I'll just take the plea deal." And they gave him 40 years, man. That's an unjust sentence. They gave him 40 years. So I don't want to take up too much of your time. I'll talk about more of this tomorrow.
This is, man. Yeah, we'll talk about it tomorrow.
But you do got another caller.
Yeah, we're going to get to that caller in 1 second. Let me take a look at the board. But Scotty, looking forward to that. Everyone, tomorrow's show, I will definitely be there and be on that, just to listen in, because it's so much here. See, what happens, precedence has already been set. And this system is filled with such ubiquitous fraud that it was set up. There's no way in the world that this individual, even through the military, should have been sentenced that way. Precedence has already been set. And this is the thing about the military. You don't supersede someone's sovereignty just because they took an oath. Get out of here with that crap. Because then what happens is that you enslave people. And then don't get me about military discipline. If there was such a thing, there wouldn't be any colonization of people throughout the world. So it's such a sham. This whole thing is a sham, and it needs to be one in which the people say, no more. We're not taking care. We're not doing this. And because what happens is, it happens to Mr. Hicks, then it's going to happen to you. Then it's going to happen to others. But see, most of us don't care about different things other than saying, no, that's wrong. No, we need to take stands on certain things. So, in my opinion, I can't tell you what to do, but I would be advocating in assisting you if it was you in this position. So I would feel that you, Mr. Hicks, would actually be in advocating you if it was reversed. So we should be doing what is right. Politically correct is always morally wrong. That was a politically correct judgment that was given down, and it was morally wrong. So tomorrow's show with Scotty, you can see that how I feel about it. So we're going to go to a couple of calls. We got a couple of callers in queue. So let's bring them up real quick. We got my man Jerry out of Tennessee. Jerry, what's going on, man? How you feeling? Jerry? Jerry probably needs to unmute himself. Give him a second.
Can you hear me?
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Jerry. What's going on, brother? How you feeling?
Yeah. I was talking while you and Scotty was talking, so yeah, you.
I figured that, right. Man. I picked up on that.
I wanted to, because I've been talking about this issue here, and I was going to do a show, and Scotty, before I even start, because I got a little bit of a little whirlwind that I'm going to throw on you, Dave, before I start, though. Scotty, shout out to you. You my guy. You my guy. But, man, this is crazy because I don't think, me, from my perception, I don't believe it's a politically correct thing. From every time something goes on, some ethnic group, some social group, they always get piled on top of us. If this had happened, a white man with a white trans person, we wouldn't have this issue right now. We would not have this issue. Reason being is because they already are dying by death to birth ratios. This is already happening with them. They would not have this issue whatsoever. We are multiplying too much. Now, we have been for so long, but they've been changing our ethnicities through these birth rates, whether we're talking about here in America or we're talking about overseas people coming over here that are melanated and designating themselves as something different. So when it works to their advantage, it's all right. When it doesn't, then they have to go to the extreme. Now death is, I'm not advocating for nobody to die, but everybody who's listened to you on this network have heard me talk about I am a very large gun advocator, and I love to use my utensils. Certain situations like this, like Scotty said, this is rape. Scotty also mentioned that in the passion of that particular moment, particular things happen. Sometimes you don't prepare for everything that may have happened. These things happen. This guy was assaulted, and what ended up happening as a result of that was because of the deception and the lies that was told beforehand. Now, with what happened just now, one person ended up dying, because I don't want to call this murder, because this was a crime of passion that was presented by the so-called victim. But a crime of passion, it happened. Now they want to get rid of this person because they see that he was not with this. So now they have the opportunity to they have this person that died, another black male, and another black male who has the chance to procreate with another black woman or whatever he chooses to produce another black person. When you think about this, if I could take both of these people out at the same time, now we have one less strain of black genetics running across this earth. All of this stuff goes back to eugenics when we're talking about all of the sexual perversion that's going on through the country for the last 100 years. They've been promoting this. It's finally starting to catch on. When it starts catching on, now you're eliminating our multiplication on this earth. They are already at a disadvantage. We already know that the system is garnished by white supremacy. So if we could take both of them out at the same time, that's good for them, and then they could say that it's the justice system that's prevailing when that's nowhere near the case.
Jerry, that's why I was saying that this was politically correct is morally wrong. Politically means that it has a motive behind it, and maybe I didn't explain it right. Yeah, Politically means that they have a motive behind it. It's the eugenics and everything else. Has nothing to do with morality behind it. So that's what I mean. So for those of you that listen, when I say it's politically correct, I'm not saying that it was right. I'm saying that politically, that's what this system wants right now because of a reason. There is a purpose behind it, and there's a political purpose behind it. It's not anything moral, meaning that morally it was wrong. It was completely wrong what they did to this young man because they were actually using him as an example for what they wanted to perpetuate going forward. So that's what I mean by it was politically correct and morally wrong.
No, I agree with you wholeheartedly, and I understood what you were saying, but I know it's certain stuff that you may not want to say on the air. So I was taking that burden off of you, and I was just going right to the brutal truth and just saying it just for people who may have not have understood what you were saying, because this is what's going on. It's the same thing that when Barack Obama came into the presidency and he put the LGBTQ, I'm not real. I mean, I'm familiar with the acronym, but I don't know it by heart. But when he put them above us. Everybody knows it. Everybody may not say so, but you can see what's happening. The fact that they are being able to police themselves, whether we are talking about Black Lives Matter or because a lot of them are adopting themselves to the Rainbow Coalition because of the rainbow part. They're attaching themselves to that. And all of this is happening, and we are continuously being stepped down little bit by little bit in the political arena. You have politicians and stuff that are openly gay now. It's fine. It's okay. And I have gay cousins. I grew up with a guy that was gay. He didn't ever bother me or none of my other partners that we grew up inside of the projects.
Right. That was his choice.
That's what he was doing. But he knew better than to approach me or any of the partners that we grew up with. All of his friends was outside of the neighborhood. But right now
his private life
making it
he ain't throw that on y'all. His private life, he never tried to invoke it on y'all. Right, Jerry?
Well, it was a recourse that would happen if
he knew.
He already knew what was gonna happen. Now if you found somebody who was doing that, then that's fine. Y'all do what y'all do. Ain't nobody bothering y'all. But when it comes
that's
to
the whole thing. Ain't nobody bothering y'all.
Yeah, when it comes to everybody else, what's gonna happen. So unless they would throw signals and what have you or whatever. But we had all across the country it's called different things. We got here in Chattanooga we call it jugging. Other places when I was in the Navy, they call it cracking, wanking, all of this type of stuff. If you would try that, they would get on you. And if somebody didn't get on you and they came up to to take up for you, then you knew you had somebody. And y'all do that. That's y'all. We ain't even upset about none of that. You just do whatever you doing. You know what I'm saying? Don't bring it to us though, because that's not how we operate. But this is to get back to my point. I'm sorry. This is a depopulation scheme. Completely. That's all this is. It's a depopulation scheme. They are dying naturally. So they have to bring something that's unnatural to try to depopulate our numbers. And with that being said, now they are putting it into law. Now they don't really want to give the trans and the gay community no rights or what have you.
No, exactly, Jerry. No, exactly. I'm sorry, Jerry. Sorry, go ahead, man.
I'm sorry, but they doing that to make sure that our numbers are not multiplying. Point blank and period. That's all it is. Like when I was in college, I was going for I need to go back, but that's a private thought. I'm sorry, I didn't mean for that to come out. But
it was a private thought that came to you, right?
Yeah.
Good,
I need to finish. I need to finish, but anyway though. But when I was in college, man, I took up psychology. I had at the time that I was going, I may have been like 24 years old, 24 to 26. My psychology teacher, which was, she had already went through school and done everything. It was a white woman. She was like 28, and I knew more about psychology than she did. And she used to beg me to change my major to go into psychology. She used to do this all the time. I never understood why. All I used to do is the same thing that I do on here. I used to ask questions, and she used to wonder why I had the questions that I had. Well, when you come from this same particular background, everything that you see, you have questions about everything. Some questions you have the answers to, some you don't. But you ask the questions anyway just to understand how the people around you, how they operate. When you ask these questions, people give you particular answers. When they give you these particular answers, it gives you insight on how the inside of their brain works. Never mind their house, it gives you the insight on their brain. So when this happens, you know who you deal with, you know who you don't deal with. And sometimes you may have to deal with people in certain ways. They show this to you by the clothes that they wear. And some of these people who are in this gay and lesbian transgender lifestyle, they don't show it through the clothes they wear, but they show it through the colors of the clothes that they wear. Maybe the colors of the shoestrings in their shoes. Maybe they might have a particular color feather in the hat that they decide to wear on certain days. All of these are indicators, and we pay no attention to them. But then when they catch you at a vulnerable point, we have instances like this particular one that just happened because people they are not aware of this, and they walk into this with an open mind and an open heart, but they end up getting misused because they are not ready for the psychological warfare that's being placed on them. So I just wanted to throw that out there for all of the people who are listening tonight, for y'all to be able to take what I just gave y'all and think about some of the friends that you deal with, some of the questions that they ask, how they dress, how they maneuver around you, because it's not always going to be in a feminine way. It's not always going to be a man in a feminine way, and it's not always going to be a female in a male type of way. But they present this stuff to you, and if you don't notice it, but you still accept them, you're putting yourself in a position to have this same thing happen to you. Now, any of us could have reacted in that same type of way. We talk about self-defense and survival tactics here on Thando all the time. Now, if you have listened to any of the guests that have been on here, whether you got a pocket knife, a survival pen, you might even have a credit card knife. These would be the times that you will blank out and you will use one of those objects and end up going to prison because you don't supposed to reproduce in the first place. And the fact that you've done this to a gay, lesbian, or transgender, that's a reason for them to take your freedom. So, like I said, Scotty, I'm sorry, Scotty's going to do a show on this, and Scotty, I'm going to be there. I may not say nothing, I probably will, but I'm going to be there, and I'm going to speak about this myself, because I have a whole lot more to say, but I know it's a whole lot more people that want to say something here, so I'm going to just put myself on mute, and I enjoy the rest of the show.
Well said, Jerry. Thank you, brother. Yeah. One of the things is that this was justifiable homicide. It's justifiable homicide. And it's just like if someone breaks in your home and they break into your home and in their home they try to do you some harm, or just by them coming in your home and you happen to defend your home with a firearm and you actually kill them, it's a murder. It's a murder. Murder means that it was done by violence by another person. That's a murder. There's justifiable and criminal. So this was justifiable because of it was in the midst of rape. It was in the midst of rape, and it was in the midst of a crime of passion. It was in the midst of so many other things. This could have been avoided if the individual didn't violate the young man. That was the act of aggression. That was the act of violence. And this individual was defending themselves. And one of the things that Jerry touched on that I want to just reiterate is that this system does not care about those individuals that just, and I would just put it this way, they're happening to use them, as Jerry was saying, for depopulation right now. Just like civil rights never cared about you as a black person. Actually, it was put there to subjugate and enslave all. They're using this as an opportunity to subjugate and enslave all, but we don't see it that way. And that becomes the problem. Every person, if someone wants to choose who their partner is going to be, if they're not choosing you as their partner and letting you know that it's none of your business, because they have that overall, we should have that overall respect for each other. So I think it's very, very important that we realize what this is. Listen, in this case, it's already been decided. Precedence is already there. The thing about this is that this is something that is new, and the system is showing what they really want to do here, and we have to say no. Every community should be against this. No. This young man was victimized. So this is, my point. We lost a caller that was there. If you would like to give us a call back, caller out of Seattle, just go ahead. I saw that you was on the board. We'll go to you when you want to come back in. So if you'd like to get in on the conversation, give us a call, 866-510-9025, 866-510-9025. Hit **. We'll see you in queue. All right, so until then, until the Seattle caller can call back, we're going to move on. But we got another caller in queue, my man Roz. Roz, what's happening, brother?
Peace. What's going on, man? It's been a wild day for me, but I'm doing okay. Okay, but it's in a good way. Not necessarily in a good way, but just stuff we got to handle on the back end, dealing with the state and my father-in-law situation. But I was able to catch what Jerry was talking about, and first I want to say peace and love, much love to Scotty. He's just incredible. He's been just a living library full of incredible knowledge, and I just thank him for being such a powerful black male that shows black self-respect to the point where he created this network in BTR community. So I have to give him super shout out. But I just wanted to say, in reference to this, if you think about it, back in the 80s and 90s, if a person had AIDS or HIV and slept with someone and did not inform them, they would be charged with murder. So if you look at this, legally, it was right. So illegally, well, if they caught AIDS, then it would be murder, basically, because the person's going to eventually die.
If they contracted it that way, then yes. Right.
Now, the thing with this is that legally it was fine for white people to rape black people. That was one of the main things we learned about Rosa Parks on the cows, was that she came up in an era where black females down south, they would work as domestic workers, and there was literally like an entire underground community of black women that were warned, hey, do not put yourself in a secluded situation when you're working as a domestic in these white people's house, because the husband will come home from work, and if he catches you in a secluded part of the house, he'll rape you. And back then, it was like epidemic rape of black females, and when they would go to the court,
and there was no legal recourse.
Exactly, there was no legal recourse. So what you're looking at here, because we've already talked about this, Neely Full has talked about this, they're trying to normalize this whole transsexual, anti-sexual agenda. And what it is that, and Neely Full has said it, eventually to be a heterosexual is going to be an endangered species. Like to actually call yourself that is going to be almost like calling yourself, a criminal. And the thing about it with this is that the precedent says it's okay. If you're transgender, you can rape whoever you want, and it's going to be supported legally. Because we're trying to propagate this, especially amongst the non-white people, like Jerry was saying. This is about population control. So they're basically saying to these transgender people, and again, just like Jerry said, it's not a dig on them. If that's what you do, that's your life. It's no problem. But you say something just about every day that is the ultimate truth. Whatever you do should not impinge on my sovereignty, and whatever I do should not impinge on yours. Once you've crossed that line, then the gloves are off. And what you're seeing there is basically a young black transsexual who learned the whole process of rape by omission of information and deception from the other side, and they're practicing this on their own people. And now the government is setting the precedent that not only he is a black transsexual, but any transsexual can lie to another person, get into a sexual situation where they're raping that person, inform them that they have just been raped, and if the person turns around and does anything to them, that person who was victimized has no legal recourse, which is exactly what the black codes did to our ancestors. So this is just a resurrection of the black codes, but instead of the face being solely white, it's a multicultural transgender face now. So just about anybody who's transgender can come, lie to you, rape you, and you have no legal recourse, no different than our ancestors did with Rosa Parks and all the other black women and black males that have been raped and black children that have been raped by the system. We've had no legal recourse. So they're telling you right now that this is the agenda, the precedent we want to set, that, anti-sexuality is the way of the day. And if you are against that, especially to the point where these people now, remember just a couple of years ago, a year ago, they were trying to get the gender assignment on their birth certificates changed based on their feelings, not what their actual birth records are. So here, this is all about the normalization of this and basically oppression, using sexuality as the oppression and the normalization to get as many non-white people on this agenda as possible, so that we're dying off at a faster rate than the people who this comes from, the origin of this issue, who are dying off naturally. Nature's getting rid of them. So that's what I wanted to say, simply because you look at the precedent set in the 80s and 90s where if you
wait, Rise. That's the whole thing right there. It's precedent. Mm-hmm. Precedent has already been set, because what happened in this case was that the defender, that was the military defender, did not want to defend this individual. The actual court didn't want him to have a defense. What was being done is what was being said is that there was going to be, because what happens is that when you take away legal recourse from people, that means that you are you're practicing segregation. Right, you're segregating everything. So what is happening is that there is a new segregation that is being and this one is being one that's going to be done politically, morally, economically, because this case is huge because of the precedence that it sets, where precedent has already been established. Why wasn't the defense saying that, no, this individual set him up for the fraud? They knew what they were doing. If they didn't know it then, it was disclosed when they told them, hey, I need to tell you something now, because now they already got him. So it was a set-up. It was rape by fraud. And because of that, this individual committed no crime. They didn't go there to commit a crime. What happened was that this came out in the heat of passion from something traumatic that happened to them. It is no different than if that individual had tried to grab a knife and tried to stab them. It was no different. It was a crime of aggression.
Woman who's abused. Right, like a woman who's abused and finally kills the person who's abusing her. Exactly. And you know what I thought about what you oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Well, listen, hold on, Rod. We got to get ready to go to a commercial break. Hold on. Remember what you were going to say. We're getting ready to go to a commercial break, then we're going to come right back. And I don't...
Okay, I'll mute myself.
Yeah, hold on one second. Listen, everyone, we're getting ready to go to a commercial break. You're listening to Thando Radio Show, brought to you by Black Talk Radio Network. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
Black Talk Radio, your choice for digital black radio. New black media for the new millennium.
Welcome back, everyone, to Thando Radio Show, brought to you by Black Talk Radio Network. If you'd like to get in on the conversation, give us a call, 866-510-9025, 866-510-9025. Then hit **. We'll see you in queue. We got a couple of people in queue. My man, Arkeith, hold on 1 second. We'll get to you in 1 second. We'll get back to my man, Roz, before we get going in the show. So, Roz, go ahead. What were you going to say just before we went to the commercial break? Go ahead.
Yes, I had two more points. One was back again in the 80s and 90s, you had this issue that they claimed was epidemic of closet homosexual black males that created a heavy amount of distrust because of the whole propagation of AIDS and HIV. So now with this guy, this sets a new precedent of distrust amongst black people, where black males will not be able to trust other black males because I don't know if you're a female or not. Black females are not going to be able to trust black males because I don't know if you're a male who turned female or whatever the case may be. And then beyond that, if you think about Donald Trump banning transgender people from joining the military, it was about stopping the demoralization of the military, because the U.S. military would be the laughingstock of the world military industrial complex if you have a bunch of transgender people running around with guns. It's no different with openly gay people running around with guns, wearing fatigues, and they switching like a woman, talking about, we coming to kill you, Taliban, or whoever they're going to kill. They're going to be laughing stock. So he's like, hey, let me stop that, because this is just the unnaturalness of this for me to set this precedent. Now, mind you, if you go back to Greece and Rome, they would, and even the Vikings, they had a military industrial complex that used rape, wholesale rape of entire groups of people to subjugate them. So mind you, you had whole armies full of anti-sexuals running around raping non-white people all over the world, and it wasn't such a big deal back then because that was their way of life, that was their culture, and things were looked at differently then because of the dominance that they had. Whereas today, like I said, they would be a laughingstock. It would be a demoralizing thing for the U.S. military to have a bunch of transgender, homosexuals, transsexuals, you name it, all mixed in with so-called heterosexual males and females going out to fight war. So with that being the case, why is it in the military it's not okay, but yet in the civilian arena it's okay? Just rape who you want. If you're anti-sexual and transgender, you name it, it's all good. But yet the president is setting a precedent that states, no, it's not okay. So there's a psychology here, and it's, again, to create confusion. It's a dichotomous situation that creates confusion and then further facilitates distrust and mistrust, enmity, and animosity between black people. So there's a multi-pronged attack here using, and again, everything white people do in all 10 areas of people activity is political. just like you said. This is politics that facilitates self-destruction in many different levels, forms, and facets that creates a reduction in the numbers of black people and further distrust, which if we can't get to a point where a critical mass of us understand the system and come to a decision to make viable changes to collapse the system, this helps stop all of that. All in one fell swoop with a legal precedent. So that's what I wanted to say. Thanks again. Brilliant show, and I'll mute my line.
Yeah, no problem. For sure. Because this is what happens when we don't take control of our lives. I think it's really, really important that we do that. So well said, Roz. Well said, Jerry. So what we're going to do is we got another caller in queue. My man, Keith, what's going on, brother?
Oh, man, you tell me, man. I can't call it, man.
What's up, brother? How you feeling
today, man? Hey, I'm doing good, man.
Well,
doing well, man.
You know what? This is gonna be on Scotty's show tomorrow, but we just happened to talk about it. So that's how it all came about, because Scotty's having the young man's mother come on tomorrow, right after Thando Radio Show. So everybody listening to Thando Radio Show, you definitely want to listen to tomorrow's show. I'm not gonna call in because I know there's a lot of people that's gonna want to get into it because it is a very, very, very important. It's a message that's being way. There's a wind that is blowing a certain way now, and that wind is going to be very destructive. But go ahead, Keith. What is it that you wanted to express, brother?
No, I just wanted to chime in on the topic so far, and
yes.
What I can tell you, I was I don't know the whole story, but I think it was the Breakfast Club. Not sure of the gentleman's name, but he made a comment, and they're giving them basically hell right now, protesting the show, calling in, everything. So I didn't know hear the whole story. I don't know if anybody heard that whole story, but I understand.
Keith.
They give them
yes,
a lot of problems right now.
Keith, yes, you are correct. It is the Breakfast Club with Charlamagne the God as one of the hosts, and they had some kind of comedian on. And what was asked was, what if you was dating somebody for about a couple of months, and then they tell you that they was transsexual, and this person, in a joking manner, and it shouldn't be treated like a joke, but in a joking manner, he said, "I'll kill him." Now, again, that's an understandable reaction in the heat of the moment, because I feel like you didn't rape me by deception, and in my opinion, the young man is showing signs of rape. But here is the thing. Right. Here is the thing, though. Those individuals on Charlamagne, all of them was laughing like it was funny, and they were being very uncodified. And now the LGBT community is trying to use them to say, "Oh, this is how all heterosexuals think." They just you understand what I'm saying, Keith?
Yep.
Yes, I do. And I know let's face it, this is an agenda. This is a global agenda, pretty much. And what I noticed the most is it's to the point now where I think I even heard Alex Jones talk about his son had an incident at Whole Foods because somebody served him first instead of guys that were gay, and they were saying, "Oh, that's not fair. You helped the straight guy out first before he helped us out." So it's like I'm hearing stories all the time, and not just like social media, but I'm hearing stories consistently just from people, everyday people where I know of incidents. So it's getting crazy.
Yeah, it is. I would say always be careful of that individual, because that individual is more of the system than most people think, in my opinion. And that's it. But Keith, just like you said, this is global. Like Jerry said, this is an agenda. Like Roz was saying, like you were saying, and we all see it because it's set up. And see, what they use with the Breakfast Club is that they wanted that reaction, because what they wanted to do was they didn't want to look at the spirit of the law of this whole thing. And when you look at the spirit of the law of their whole thing, they are defending something that is wrong. They are defending an act of violence. When that individual did that to that young man, that was a rape by fraud with an act of violence. And the scars don't always have to bleed visually. That's what violence is. And it's so important. And this case should have been very easily adjudicated within hours if there was a real fair bringing of evidence. From what I know, because the whole setup was he was asking for a single woman. They engaged. He didn't see them. And then the individual was playing as if she was a single woman to the point where he met them. He wasn't looking for who she really was. So who had to be the liar from the beginning, which she or he knew what their real intentions were. To do what? To catch them. This is what sick, demented people do. This is what pedophiles do. This is what rapists do. They stalk a victim. They stalked this young man, and then the system allowed that individual to be stalked. And because they're stalking everyone. That's what's really going on here. So just wanted to make that point. Well said, brother. Was there anything else you wanted, my man?
Oh, no, that's it, man.
Yeah. We're going to have our, tonight, 15 minutes after Thando Radio Show. Let me just say this, 15 minutes after Thando Radio Show, for those of you that are in the Trade Coin Club, definitely we're going to do that. If you would like to sign up for that, you can't do it this week. I don't think that Trade Coin Club is going to be active this week because of some things that's going on in the cryptocurrency realm. I didn't expect them to be trading, so definitely we'll do that. So today's show, and I'm going to get into today's show. Today's show is, what is your outlet and how does it help you out? What do you do? What do you do to unwind? What do you do? What's some of your outlets that you do? And how does it help you? And I'm going to give you mine in today's show. But there's a couple of things. We don't have that many things in what's in the news. So we're going to jump in them real quick, and then we'll get into today's show. Real quick, this one comes from the Good News Network. 60 schools are installing washers and dryers for homeless and troubled students. So check out that one. Next one, from Business Insider, I posted this one, the blockchain and banking report, the future of blockchain solutions and technologies. Check out that, very, very important where things is going. Next article comes from, I posted this one from the Anti-Media. California moves one step to closer to declaring independence from the U.S. government. The untied states of America is what this is going to be about, y'all. This whole thing, and when they sentenced this young man, it was because of the untied states of America. This is all a part of a multifaceted, it's a multi-pronged attack that's going on here. Next article, I got this one from Market Watch. It says the default rate for risky, it won't come up. Excuse me, the default rate for risky retailers jumped as sectors continue to battle Amazon effect. And there's a reason. And if y'all research who really owns Amazon, where it really came from, is all a part of everything. This is the takeover. This is how you get rid of mom and pops, ladies and gentlemen. And you'll see who really owns that entity and where it really came from. It's pretty much same thing as Fedbook. All right? So check out that article. Next one. This one comes from Bloomberg. I posted this one from Bloomberg. China bets Trump won't resort to striking against North Korea. Check out that one. Next article from Bloomberg. Kim Jong-un says entire U.S. in range of North Korea's ICBM. Yes, I definitely. And then they try to say that ICBM was a failed attempt. No, it wasn't. That thing went up for 45 minutes. It was in orbit. That's a long 43, 45. That's a long time. You know what that means? North Korea doesn't have to hit the U.S. and have a nuclear device hit the U.S. It can use a nuclear device to go off in the high altitude and totally disable the whole thing with an EMP. And then not only that, they can also do it by just sending one, by using one underground, one in the ocean to create an earthquake or create a tsunami. You saw what it did to Japan. You saw what they did to Japan, and you know who, and I think that was by the same method that Korea would use, cause an earthquake. Then off of Wanda Fuka fault, the Wanda Fuka fault off of Washington the state of Washington, Oregon, and California, you hit that with a nuke, man. The whole western side, Pacific side, would be so catastrophically destroyed by that tsunami and that earthquake from that. So check out that article. Next one from Yahoo. Mike Pence soon to be president with help from Spicer, Maxine Waters says in the tweet. Next article, Bloomberg. Putin retaliates, stops after ousting 755 U.S. staff. I just want to say this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a way of saying that diplomatic communications have been severed. And what happens when that happens? That means that war is on hand. They're doing all the same things. They're just not doing it the way that they've told you that they would do it before. Very, very keen. Next article. And we're going to carry this one. I'm going to have to hurry up here. 3 Black Swans. Really, really good one. We're going to take a look at that itself. You all should know about that. Next one, North Korea warns of actions against sanctions after ICBM tests. Next one, article. Feinstein, this came from CBS News. Feinstein calls North Korea clear and present danger. They're setting everything up. Next one, Sputnik News. U.S. sees no point in holding UN Security Council emergency meetings on North Korea because their plan is in that. Next one is a gold rush. We talked about this with Orville. Rise reposted it last week, and then here we go again, the new gold rush in California. Yes. Next one, Venezuela socialists celebrate new Congress, and then the U.S. also sanctions them. And if you notice what's going on, ladies and gentlemen, there was a actual press conference by the Homeland Security individual and the Treasury individual said that they were going to be sanctioning Venezuela. Why do you think they're sanctioning Venezuela? Could it be because they have the largest oil output of anyone in this side of the world or in some of the leading ones in OPEC? Yes, that's of course what it is, ladies and gentlemen. The seizing, especially before the overall confrontation, that's what that's all about. And there was an assassination of one of the pro-government officials the day before the election that the pro-government won, and there was assassination. Who do you think carried out that assassination? Whose interest does it serve? The same ones as probably the ones that owns, could be the same people that make sure you got something in common with Amazon. But hey, who knows? All right, next one. And this one is from The Hill. And this one is Trump swears in new chief of staff. And I want to just say this real quick. And I said, do you guys notice something here? The chief of staff, the defense secretary, the Homeland Security secretary, I forgot what Michael Flint was because he was there so short. You notice this dude is surrounding a bunch of generals around him. You know why? The new chief of staff is a general, ladies and gentlemen. Generals. The only things that generals can do is fight wars because it's a war setup, y'all, and having all of these individuals around them for war. That's all generals do. That's all they do. It's their profession. That's their vocation. Next one, Manhua.com. This is a South Korean publication, and you need to right-click this for English. Basically, South Korea is basically saying that they're going to have a surgical strike on North Korea. And when that happens, ladies and gentlemen, all heck is going to be broken out. So just prepare for it all. So today's show is, and we're going to come back to some of these things this week, but today's show is, what do you do as an outlet? What's your outlet, and how does it help you? I think it's very, very important that we always keep ourselves completely grounded, and it's actually a part of the preparedness. You got to always preparedness mindset is that you always have to do the things that you enjoy and be able to do so that you can be balanced in everything that you do. What's up, Strategic Melanin? Run. Dig in the dirt. Read BTR. Yikes. Serious. Empower me and relax me. My sister, what's going on? So what do you all do for your outlet? We'd love to hear from some of you guys, or no, from anyone Anyone and everyone. Give us a call, 866-510-9025, 866-510-9025. I know Brother Braggs. I know what he does. He loves to read and everything. Me, I'm going to tell you what I do. And me and Brother Braggs have this in common. I really know what Brother Braggs likes to do because every time I talk to him, I catch him doing it. Brother Braggs loves to be out in nature. One of the things that I do as my outlet is I love to garden. It is the most relaxing time for me. A couple other things, other things, but that is the one that I want to just bring to your attention is gardening, because there's so much to it. There's so much that you can learn. You actually, you actually can see some results of your accomplishments, and then you can see some of the things that you messed up in, and you feel, you want to get better at it, and you learn more and more. But I absolutely love gardening. It's something about, for me, being able to get back to sovereignty, self-determination. Because if you are able to provide for yourself, if you have real assets, and you are able to, because of what you know, be able to sustain yourself, what need for a boss would you ever have? Absolutely none. But when we have a grocery store that you go and buy things from, when you have that convenience comes at a price, and the price of that convenience is enslavement. Now you have to go to someone for the sustaining of your physical life. And everyone that you go to for that realizes that they're in a position of advantage and you're at a position of disadvantage, and then now they come with some of their dictations as to what you're going to do in order to get for what you physically need. And it's something about working within the ecosystem as much as you possibly can. And it just balances me to where I'm able to withstand any and everything. I remember I always tell myself and anyone else, whenever you're having a bad day or even on the worst day of your life, always sun gaze and look at the setting sun at the appropriate time during the blue hour, okay? 30 minutes before the sun sets. You always want to watch the sun go down because it's rising on your bright tomorrow. So important. And so I'm going to do a couple of things because we got some stuff in the chat here that's jumping off real quick. Strategic Melanin says to dig in the dirt, you have to be in harmony with Mother Earth. She doesn't wait for anyone. She does her thing regardless. You have to be in tune to her, be in harmony with her. So true. So true. And there is a frequency, a rhythm, a resonance, a cooperation, a respect, an appreciation. Because, to actually give back, because Mother Earth loves to bring forth life. She loves to bear the offsprings of life. She loves to bear the fruit trees, the pecan trees, the lemon trees, the fruits, the vegetables. She loves to bear all of those things. But in that, you have to have the right relationship with her. You can't overextend that. You can't have a sense of entitlement to it, to where you overfarm the land, to where all the nutrients and minerals are taken out of the land, and then now it becomes a desolate land in a desert, and it becomes you have a famine. It's because you've never respected the land. You only thought that she was there for your beckoning call. You were raping her. This is why you always hear me say, it's not always about, it's not about eating the fruit. Sometimes you have to feed the roots. You always have to feed the roots. And the same thing, you don't overextend the land. known as the Shemitah. This is why in bankruptcy is known as a 7 years curse. This is why this is a cycle that the system actually follows, is the Shemitah. And the Shemitah says that you're either going to be the curse or the blessing. And when you are the curse of the land, whenever you farm land, you're only supposed to farm it for so long before you start to give back the nutrients and the minerals and to regenerate the whole land. But if you don't, you take out everything in that area, and that farmland will no longer produce because you violated. You've invoked yourself. You didn't live in cooperation. You were taking more than you were giving, and you were taking at an insatiable appetite that you didn't, that is not spiritual. It's selfish. And this system always teaches us to be so selfish. So I want to check out, there's a couple of things here. Strategic Melanin said that one. Then my man Scotty, which I love this one too, he says, I like to walk in the woods, sit down with the sun on my face, and clear my mind, and just observe and listen to nature. If you notice something about all the warriors, you being those warriors, we never lose our overall attachment. You never lose your attachment to the ecosystem. You never lose attachment to the ecosystem because that's where everything comes from. One of the things that I love when I call Brother Braggs at a certain time, I know where Brother Braggs is going to be. You know where Brother Braggs is going to be? You're going to call Brother Braggs and you're going to hear birds always in the background, sitting outside, taking care of his responsibilities and doing it within nature. It's amazing. For me, that's everything. And I'm going to tell you, when I'm outside in the garden, I listen to the land. I listen to the grass. I listen to the trees. Yes, I hear the obvious of the birds, but I love hearing and resonating with the ones that don't speak, but their voice and their power is more amplified than a bullhorn. That's how the trees resonate. That's how the land itself resonates. Think about the living earth. It's a living being. It's a living entity just like you. Because if it wasn't, how could anything of life come out of it? How could a tree grow? How could the grass grow? How could the flowers? And how could food, natural food, come about? It all has the same common denominator. What? It's a part of the ecosystem of life. And that to me is so beautiful. And that's where I like to. That's why I love to get up really, really early in the morning and be a part of the rise. And I love right at sunset to be a part of the dawn. It's, to me, that's how I choose to, that's some of my outlets. I have a bunch of them, but that is definitely the one that I prefer more than anything else. So what's some of yours? What's some of the things that you like to do? And why do you like to do it? What does it do for you? I know gardening actually, I learned so much from it. I mean, absolutely so much. And I learned a lot this weekend. And I'm going to share it with you all, especially those in the preparedness class. Yeah, we got a caller in queue. Welcome, caller, out of ATL. What's your name? Where you call? Well, I know where you're calling from. What's your name and what is your question and comment?
This is Rob. I just had to comment on it because I took on a new project with gardening, and I would honestly say that it's working. It's keeping me busy. It's not a conventional, but it's innovative, and sometimes innovative can be a double-edged sword. But me just kicking back and really in a nice environment, and I can learn. If I can learn something that new information is powerful, it gives me energy to go and want to feed myself, want to go and learn something new, take on a challenge, and it pushes the envelope. I push my own envelope, and it takes me to another place. And I know gardening is like my third child right now, so I'm keeping it, real close to the chest, and I enjoy that too. I enjoy gardening too, Dave. It's pretty remarkable, and I honestly say, biochar.
Yeah, man.
You got some biochar in your garden? That was the best thing since sliced bread that happened to me. Something that was so old, but new to us. Just
say that again. Did I have what?
You familiar with biochar that you put in your garden?
No. What's that?
It's basically carbon, straight carbon, and maybe more or less. Well, I can't say.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about now. Yeah.
Something that resonates with us because we're brown.
Yeah.
And green is what help us grow. The green plants, the green trees, all that is beneficial for us. And it's always, I keep in my mind like we one molecule away from being green. So I resonate with gardening, and I have to keep it in my cup of tea. You know what I'm saying? So I'm enjoying that too. Bro. I just wanted to share that with you. I'll get back on that listening.
No. I'm with you. I'm with you, Big Rob, man. Gardening is, but see, it's been a thing of mine. I love it in the desert. I love it wherever you are, because it always keeps me balanced. It's a continuous learning because you are trying to cultivate as much as you possibly can life. That's what it really is, and it's. And it's so gratifying. Not taking life. No, not taking life. And then when your garden, but when your garden is all, you don't even want to. Sometimes I don't even want to cut it to eat it. You know what I mean? We don't need to eat tonight. Don't nobody need to eat tonight. You didn't. Yeah. So, and then it's so funny, man. It's so funny, man. It becomes you get out there so much, and what I do is I garden I try to garden at all times, in the heat of the day, the cool, and all in the rain and everything, because it's so much to learn. Because these skills that we used to master so well for our sovereignty, for our prosperity, we have lost them because we traded those in for domesticated societal rules. And those societal rules are just like synthetic drugs. They just doesn't do your body well at all. It deteriorates you. It brings about tumors. It brings about this illness, that illness, high blood pressure. It brings all these other things. When everything starts back in the garden, you get out there and you're one with your kingdom. And now you can do so much. So I'm with you, Rob. But yeah, I'm familiarized. And you know what's so dynamic about it is that you have to learn. It's not only the area or the zone that you're in, but the block that you're on and how the wind blows, how the sun comes up, where it comes up, and everything else. It's a part of our ancestral ties that got us to be able to be such a prosperous nation that had nothing to do with the price of anything, but had everything to do with the value of everything. Everything had value. It gives you such value.
Like that.
Yeah, man, it's nothing like it, man. So I can't wait for all of us to have our own Inkwell community, us all living there, and we got all different gardens, and everybody's not competing. Everybody's garden doesn't have a fence around it. It's a continuous garden that flows into each other's. Oh, man, it's so cool because we're at one with the whole nature. And so that's what my utopia is, and that's what we're building, and that's what I'm looking forward to. So, man, so much. And so, yeah, I'm familiar with that. And, Rob, one of the things that I love about gardening is that gardening is no respecter of person. If you make a mistake, you got to learn from what you've done wrong. And if you make a mistake and did something right and don't realize exactly what it was why things were, it won't happen again. You know, it's just brutally honest.
Otherwise, you'll go insane and try and do
Yep. So it's just real stability. It's real stability. So, and Rob, do you do like where we are? I like to my thing is the hummingbirds. I gotta get that. That's next on the list. Next to my mushroom logs. I gotta get my mushroom log. That was number 2. That's what I had up next was my mushroom log. And man, I got to do that too. Well, hold on, Rob. I forgot. We got to get ready to go to the commercial break. I got to get ready to go to the commercial break. All right, everyone listening to Thando Radio Show brought to you by Black Talk Radio Network. If you'd like to get in on the conversation, give us a call, 866-510-9025, 866-510-9025. Wherever you are, give us a call. All throughout the whole so-called country. Let us know, what it is that you like to do. And, we'll talk about it and share that all. You're listening to Thando Radio Show brought to you by Black Talk Radio Network. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
For podcasts and live program scheduling, visit us on the web at blacktalkradionetwork.com.
Okay, welcome everyone to Thando Radio Show, brought to you by Black Talk Radio Network. I'm your host, Dave from LA. If you'd like to get in on the call, give us a call. If you'd like to get in on the conversation, give us a call at 866-510-9025, 866-510-9025. Just before we went to the break, my man Rob was there. Rob, man, yeah, you got to get into the birds, brother. Let me just give you a little why you got to get into the birds, man. I love hummingbirds. You know why I love hummingbirds? Because I don't need no daggone drone. The birds tell me, the hummingbirds tell me if somebody new's coming around in the neighborhood before they get there. It's so funny, man. Hummingbirds, when you feed them, and make sure you feed them correctly, and don't feed them throughout the year, because you actually do harm to them, and you got to let them migrate, so you have to break that up. But their nests are so small and everything else. But what's so funny is that hummingbirds are really territorial. And so if they see you out in your garden a lot and you start to put food out and you feed them with the hummingbird feeder and everything else, and there's this, ones, just learn about it and you'll start to see something. The hummingbirds, if you don't feed them, you hardly ever see them. But if you do see them, they stay away from you completely. But when you start to feed them, they'll fly right next to you and they'll just fly right by you. I mean, when I say right by you, they'll never run into you. They know what they're doing. They'll buzz you. So I'm out. I was in Southern California and had a hummingbird, and what I did is I put it close to my window so that I could open up the window so that I could see the bird eating. I take pictures of it, and I started to notice something. I would go to the window, and it wouldn't alarm them. I was like, what's going on? So I would go to the window and take pictures and everything else. So then I start going outside, and I noticed that same hummingbird that I took a picture with would always fly by me. He'd get closer and closer and closer, and I would never duck. Like, what was that? Because you know in your garden was supposed to be there. So I'm watching these hummingbirds, and it was you know, a clan of them. But this one particular one day I'm outside, and the darn thing comes real close to me because, you know, the thing about hummingbirds was so magnificent about them. If it was going to be any animal, I would be a hummingbird. Has no natural predators because it's the only bird that could fly backwards. It's the only one that could go backwards. So it has no predators. Can't nothing catch it. So you know, every once in a while you'll see some, but because it can fly backwards, it's multi-dimensional in how it can go. It could go up, down, left, right, backwards. And because of that, it has such an advantage. So I'm outside in the garden, and you'll hear this flutter like a little miniature helicopter, right? So I say, don't move. That's the hummingbird. I look over to my right, and this thing is 2 feet away from me, just looking me dead in my face. And he goes straight by me, and I didn't move. And that hummingbird, every time I went outside on different days, depending on how they felt, he would come real close, and he always got the closest he ever got was 2 feet to fly right at me and stop and hover and go away. He would do it from behind me. He would do it in front of me. He would do it on my side and everything else. And it's because he got used to me being there. And there's nothing like a hummingbird. You hear them. And so that's one thing I would definitely engage, you know, tell you to do. And then when you do that, you know, when you feed birds and stuff, you'll start to hear them, and they'll start to nest closer to you. And I love that because the birds, especially if you're a prepper, one of the good things about that is that you have to learn the overall warning signs of the environment. The birds don't miss anything. And they'll tell you if something is out of place. They'll tell you if a coyote, if a bear, if this or if that is around, depending on where you live and what some of the things, if it's a bobcat, if whatever it is, you'll notice, but you have to be out and spending time with it and then noticing everything that's there. It's a beautiful exchange. And there's also a responsibility that I think that we have when we're out in nature. Because we've destroyed so much of their land, so much of their habitat, and so much of their environment, we actually enslaved them in so many different ways that we need to be giving back to them. That's just my thought. That's just how I resonate. So that's just one of the things that I learned. My man, Scotty, my mom created a bird feeder made of peanuts and sunflower seeds for my grandsons, for her great-grandson. For her grandson, too. Hung it in a small tree. The birds, the male cardinal is one of the most beautiful birds in our area. Yes, man. Cardinals are just, with that daggone with that yellow beak and that bow tie and that big, oh, man, cardinals are gorgeous. We got some cardinals here, too, Scotty. It's so many, the different birds. I didn't even know it was so cool to bird watch this way. I saw a wren. You know, and I was like, man, blown away. So, yeah, watching the birds and being a part of and stuff is more than, for me, is not always about running out and hiking into the woods. I don't want to hike into the woods. I want to have relationships with the whole environment. So I want to go and just chill in one spot. And for everything to get to know me, and I'm not just passing by. I'm not an intruder. I want to feed the roots, not just eat the fruit. So I'm a little different than a lot of folks. But that, for me, that is so beautiful. So yeah, and then Strategic Melon said, "Yep, that's how I knew to expect an earthquake. Complete silence, no birds, no tweeting. Man, so true. Your animals." Cats and dogs will let you know. Birds will let you know. If birds is acting a certain way and they acting strange and everything else, there's a reason. And if they all start flying in a different direction, it ain't no in time for migration and everything else, you know what's up. That means that the earth has actually, a disturbance has happened deep into the ground. And remember, they work off of the magnetic pull, and the earth's core is magnetic. And so if that get disturbed, that disturbs them, and they know. And what do? They go. Remember the big tsunami? All the animals was going towards the high ground. I'm going to tell you something. If I was there and I'd have saw all of that, I'd have been going with them. I'd have been going with them. Because I've learned that. I've learned that throughout my time is that, Joe, those that are able, you know what's so beautiful, what we don't look at animals, the different species around us, we don't look at them as who they truly are, as sovereign and self-determining, even though we encroach on them. But what we do in society is that we chase them down for a hunt, for a kill. I think the most thing that I want to do is actually get a camera, go out and just take pictures. But slow mo. But sometimes I think it's better for me not even to go out into it because I don't want to disturb their prosperity, because I know everywhere man goes, right behind it, civilization is the destruction of civilization and economies is coming. So, it's just
a whole flock of new creatures around me now that I got this soil and stuff propagated. I got all type of new. It was a frog that showed up in my yard. I swear, I thought I had to put a collar on it. It was so big. I'm seeing all types of birds, and just they was in there trying to take my worms, and it's a flock of new animals and such that's over in my area now. You know, I stay in a subdivision or whatnot, so I see more stuff over here than anywhere else in the neighborhood, and I walk around.
Yeah,
I don't see that. That's crazy, though.
You have all of that, man. I've seen so much stuff. But hold on, Rob, we got another caller, and my man Roz has called back. Roz, what's going on, man? What is it that you like to do, and why? And why is it so important to you, my brother?
Wow, man, this is a great discussion. Gardening is something that I took up a long time ago, and being that I come from a spiritual background of Now Valley high culture and spirituality, one thing that I learned that just from studying nature, that's something I've been doing since I was very, very young, and I never really realized until I was older how therapeutic that is, just being in nature, studying animals, and how much you can learn. That's one thing I learned from the Nile Valley was just how to study nature and the types of powerful insight you can gain. One thing I learned that kind of shocked me, because I've been studying, traditional religions from the Far East, Native America itself, as well as the continent. And one thing I found was that in the Nile Valley, our ancestors referred to the earth as a male being, whereas in a lot of the other traditional cultures, they refer to the earth as Mother Nature or female. And when I got deeper into the tradition and went through initiation, I started to get a deeper understanding, and the reason why they refer to the earth as Geb, or sometimes Keb or Seb, and that deity, when they actually said that when earthquakes happen, that Geb is laughing. So whenever the earth is laughing, you have earthquake. This is what our ancestors used to write about, allegorically speaking. And the reason why they call the earth a male deity is because the earth, when it gives, first of all, the people who invented agriculture were African females. They were the first ones to actually go through the process of sowing seed into the earth and also coaxing the planet to release its gift.
I got it now.
So it was a female relationship with the male earth, and the earth was giving of itself to supply life. The way that a male is not the generator of life, he's the facilitator of life. So he gives up himself in the form of sperm, and his sperm is the key to the lock that facilitates life. And
from the seed that is sown.
Exactly. So, and what they referred to the female as was Newt. which was the entire universe. So they had a much deeper understanding of the importance and power of the feminine energy and the fact that the male energy is contained and housed within the female energy. So the female was new. She was always drawn as a black female with her arms outstretched and stars all over her body. And she would swallow the sun at night, which would mean to indicate that it was nighttime. She would swallow Ra, and then in the morning she would give birth to Ra through her vagina. So this is where I started to get a deeper understanding for how our ancestors in the Nile Valley viewed and understood the earth as a male being versus being a female being, and why they created the concept of the female as all-encompassing in regards to her being the universe itself. And these are all just little insights that I got just from studying nature, studying our ancestors. Me, I love animals. I've written quite a few essays where I incorporate animal symbology and information to facilitate deeper understanding of spiritual concepts that our ancestors actually discussed, propagated, and helped to facilitate their genius. And this is what brings relaxation to me. It's just being able to be in nature, meditate in nature. Meditation is the other thing. Just being able to put your mind in a place where it's just peace, because a lot of times that blackness that you go into when you close your eyes and you meditate, that is peace. It's that primordial peace that you were in before you were born, when you were in your mother's womb. It was all black. You were in what Dr. York will call that triple state of darkness, which is the womb of your mother. And in that incubation area, and when you were there, you were at your most peaceful state. When you go into meditation, it's like going back into the womb of your mother again and going back into that deep meditative state. It's a rejuvenating, replenishing process, something I've been doing for, 24-plus years. So this is something that I know works, at least for me, and I hope it works for others. Studying nature, gardening, again, has been one of the most therapeutic things that I've ever gotten into, and reading. Reading can also be therapeutic depending on what you're reading. Sometimes I can't read when I'm in a state where I'm agitated. I can't read texts that deal with, the system of racism, because it agitates my spirit. So I get more into spiritual information when I want to calm myself down or put myself in a state that's opposite to being agitated. When I'm doing research to write about things that fight the system, then at that point I dig in deep, and I'll be reading books about those sorts of things, history, all of these kinds of things, and I always tend to incorporate some level of spiritual understanding in whatever I'm writing. So these are all things for me that are highly, highly, highly therapeutic. Planting is just the whole process of focusing on the plant. You're talking about hummingbirds, incredible. Trinidad, they thought many years ago that original name, they thought that its original name, which was Kyrie, they thought that meant land of the hummingbirds, which it did not. Hummingbirds, right. Means the island. Right, it just means the island, because there's other islands that have way more species of hummingbirds than Trinidad, but Trinidad was one of the places where they first discovered them, actually Tobago, because Tobago has the oldest wildlife preserve in the Western Hemisphere. So there's no wildlife preserve older than Tobago, so that's where they first discovered the species. But ultimately, hummingbirds are just like any other creature. They're highly intelligent. Funny enough, they do have predators. There is a bird-eating spider that sometimes can catch them, especially the smallest species. I think they call
there's some snakes. There's some snakes that could catch them. But there's what they mean by natural enemies. There isn't one exclusive that's what they it's by chance and by opportunity.
Yeah, they'll set them up. And they're highly intelligent. They're extremely territorial. One of the ways that they establish their territory is by flying, and those colors, as they exhibit those colors, the light will hit their feathers in those angles that exhibit those colors, and that's how they establish their territory. And I saw a great documentary on National Geographic about hummingbirds specifically, and they dive bomb each other. Like, they actually showed them in combat, and it's one of the most incredible things. They dive bomb you. They even fly. Yep, they even fly upside down. And they actually showed it in slow motion. It's incredible. And like you said, just nature being here. I've seen red-tailed hawks, peregrine falcons, black vultures, cardinals, blue jays, skunks, possums, raccoons. Deer. There's so many. But like you said, you get signs from these animals. If something is not right in your environment, you get these signs. I just read an article a few days back about in the Far East, they had cave paintings of Black Asian ancestors that lived on one of the islands in the South Pacific for tens of thousands of years, where they actually indicated in their cave paintings that it was following the animals on the island that protected them from tsunamis. When that tsunami happened in Indonesia, the people who understood the old ways knew that when the elephants
got out the waves,
it was for a reason. Whereas the people who didn't know thought that when the waves went back and all those fish were flopping around, that, oh, wow, we could go out and get some fish. And as they were collecting those fish, they saw that giant wave coming back at them, and they couldn't do anything about it. But the people who actually understood the old ways and understood how tsunamis work, they were the ones who were able to get to safety. And this is the stuff that you talk about, just being in tune, paying attention, immersing yourself in nature at times, maybe not all the time, but if you're stressed out, nature is one of the greatest decompressors that you can expose yourself to. So those are the things that I do, and I just thought it was a great conversation, and I just had to add that because, like I said, just learning the whole reason why, out of all the cultures I've studied, why the Nile Valley called the earth a male deity versus the vast majority of others that refer to it as a female. Why did they call the universe a female versus a male? These are all things that came to my understanding just from studying nature, practicing our forms of spirituality, and just going through the process of initiation. These were some of the enlightening things I was able to garner that helped to facilitate just my ability to relax, understand certain things, and enrich myself, and I hope that it helps somebody else. That's all. So I'll mute my line.
Oh, we definitely did. No, brother, as Strategic Melanin says, I love that. Wow, wow, wow. Daddy Earth. And I bust out laughing. So true, man. It's so much. And, yeah, the hummingbirds. And, you know, the one hummingbird that used to visit me in California, his rainbow stripes, and I call them his silver stripes because that's, you know, really what they really are. Because that's what makes a rainbow. Silver makes the rainbow. His silver stripes were so striking, and you know, depending on where he was in the angle and everything, you know, which color came up. It was just so right on his chest and everything else. It was so cool. So I was hoping that maybe one day he would land near me. Now that was some trust if he could have landed, but I just got, you know, close enough to where he would fly like 2 feet in front of me and then fly right in front of my face and stop and look at me, and we was just amazing. So, all right, y'all. Listen, it's never goodbye. As always, we'll see you later, and we're gonna get ready to get out of here. So definitely right after tonight's show is Melanated Roots coming up at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. For those of you that in the cryptocurrency, give me. We're going to catch up at 15 minutes after the hour. It's never goodbye. As always, we'll see you later. And before you ask for a fortune, make sure to give one away. Much love, much respect. We'll talk to you soon. Brother Braggs, if you would be so, do that and absolutely cherish you all. Thank you so much, Brother Bragg. We'll talk to you all soon. Peace, peace.
Peace, peace.
Gold dinar would have had serious consequences for the world financial system, but may also have empowered the people of Africa, something black activists say the US wants to avoid at all costs.
We're slicing cake. We're slicing cake. We're slicing cake.
Say the US wants to avoid at all costs.
We're slicing cake.
Say the US wants to avoid at all costs.
We're slicing
Gaddafi didn't give up. In the months leading up to the military intervention, he called on African and Muslim nations to join together to create this new currency that would rival the dollar and euro. They would sell oil and other resources around the world only for gold dinars. It's an idea that would shift the economic balance of the world. Countries' wealth would depend on how much gold they have, not how many dollars they trade. And Libya has 144 tons of gold. It's happened before. In 2000, Saddam Hussein announced Iraqi oil